and welcome to our live, genuine, interactive, integral, and informative conversations around the cost of living crisis. We're going to have several sessions like we promised earlier this year, and it's taken us a while, but we're here, and we did hear you. So we want you to know that we hear you. And who are we? We are Women and Digital Inclusion, also known as WADIN, a voluntary organization based right here in Liverpool. Our mission is to end digital poverty and gender social equity in Black, minoritized, and ethnically diverse communities right here in Merseyside. So we serve the area of Merseyside. That is Liverpool, Knowsley, St. Helens, the Wirral, and Halton, yes. And we ensure that we serve Black communities. If you would all mute yourself for a bit, we will go through some housekeeping in a bit. But I was just saying that WADIN is here to serve you. I am the project lead and founder of WADIN. We work with a committee of 8 amazing human beings who are volunteers and who do everything we can to ensure that our communities are served.
Hello.
And we also have our offices currently at 170 Kensington, and beginning 1st January 2024, we will be opening our new offices, and you're all welcome to drop in at 433 Liverpool Road. It's a beautiful space. There's free parking. There's always free tea and coffee and chocolate and maybe a warm meal waiting for you when you do drop in. And so today, we are picking up where we left off back in March of this year, where we said we would talk about the challenges we're facing, but instead of focusing on the challenge, we're focusing on the solutions. So, because when you focus on the challenge, you attract more of that. Because as we all know, the law of attraction works, or is it the law of nature, or Sod's law, as you might want to call it? Whatever you focus your energy on with emotion, you attract. So instead of focusing on the problem, we want to focus on the solutions. And today we have 2 amazing men. So I'm going to introduce you to our facilitators for the day. I'm also here to learn. I may jump in here and there. Please feel free to interact. Feel free to share. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. Raise your hand if you want to say something. We're going to be here for the next couple of hours or less or so, depending on how exciting it is. And without further ado, allow me to introduce our administrator, Rachel Barbara. If you want to say something privately, reach out to Rachel Barbara in the chat. She's our project administrator, and she's an amazing young woman. And without further ado, Mr. Francis Niba is going to be focusing on energy. He's our energy expert. He's going to share with us what we can do to heat our homes better, to manage our bills better, to be able to heat and eat, because that's been a kind of like a buzzword all over the place. People can't heat, you have to choose between heating or eating. Why should we choose between the two? We live in a country where we pay taxes, there are resources. So why should people have to choose between being warm in this freezing weather or having a warm meal on their table? What can we do so that we can have both? Because we are meant to have it all, to be honest. So Mr. Francis Niba is a communications expert. He's also our energy expert. He is the founder and one of the and the CEO of Citizen Outreach Coalition, again, an organization that is global, based here in Merseyside and in Africa. And he is passionate about serving Black people and uplifting Black people across the diaspora. He's a communicator. He has worked with the BBC and various other journalistic, experiences that I'm sure he might share with you when we give him a moment. But with that, so I don't want to waste more of your time. Really, I want you to listen to Mr. Niba.
Thank you for that brilliant. Should I call it brilliant introduction?
Yeah.
My name is Francis again.
Hello.
Is that okay now?
Hello, Ayan.
Yeah, my wife, she cannot speak English, so there's a problem.
Don't worry. We will. Are you gonna be interpreting for her?
Yeah, I will try, but also for me it's not good, but I will try.
Okay.
Okay, so just put yours I work for Citizen Outreach Coalition, and we have a project around energy saving, which is why I guess Julie said I'm an expert on that. I'm not entirely an expert, but I do know a lot, because for the past 1 year, we've been running a project. Some of you on this Zoom, we might have come across because of that project. So it's technically to just help people with their energy saving tips. It means that we go to people, and we do this a couple of ways. We go to people's houses, so we can come to your house and then talk to you about the controls that you have, because that's what energy use and saving is all about. The way you control the energy flow, your electricity and your gas, the way you control it helps you to either overspend or underspend or spend what you have. So the project is funded by Energy Saving Trust. So I'm here to just talk. We are going to do a discussion around energy savings, and there are a couple of points that we are going to talk about. So I might just as well start with that. The first thing that all of us should do, it's winter now, so places are really very, very cold. And a lot of people, this is a cost of living conference. We really don't have that extra money to spend on gas and electricity, but you can start doing very, very simple things that anybody on this call can do. We've visited as part of the project, we visited more than 150 people in their houses. And what I can tell you from all of those visits, that most people use what you call combination boilers. These are boilers that control both the hot water in your house and the
heating.
The combination boiler controls the hot water and the heating. So the water that heats your radiator. And one of the best ways that you can control the amount of energy and reduce the bills that you use is controlling the temperature flow on that boiler. Normally, they usually run from minimum to maximum. And a lot of people that we visited realize that they keep that control system on maximum, which means that every single time that you're heating your house or you want to use hot water, you're actually using more gas than is necessary. If you say minimum is 0 and then maximum is 10, if you leave that temperature controller between 5, if you want to push it, you get up to 7. But I didn't get that.
I think we need to mute someone, but we don't know who they are. So carry on.
Okay. So just a minute. Okay. So if you get to your boiler and you can control those two systems. Yesterday somebody called me, because part of the project that we do, we also advise people over the telephone. Somebody called me and they said that their water was so hot that sometimes when they want to go and bathe, the water is scaling. It's just too hot. And then I connected to her through a video call. Then I realized when she showed me the control on the boiler, I think her water system was on 65. That's just too hot. You should not leave your water on 65 degrees centigrade. That's just too hot. If you bring that down, which is what she did, she brought that down to about 40. And then it's enough, because if it's on 65, you get hot water. If you want to go and wash your place, you turn the tap. It's just so hot that it's scaling your hands. So you need to add cold water. So what you are technically doing is using a lot of gas to heat the water and then using cold water to cool that down. It doesn't make any sense technically. You are doing one thing twice and losing money in the process. So when you go to your boiler, make sure that the temperature control flow is not on maximum. It's not necessary. Once you do that, you've already reduced about 60-70% of the problems that you have with overusing gas to heat your house and overusing gas to heat your water. That's the first point that I'll give. So everybody here, if you have a combination boiler, after this, just go to that boiler and check the flow. A lot of people have digital displays, so you can actually see the figure there, and then you see a minus button and a plus button. So it's just pressing those buttons to take it up or to take it down. And for the water, it's very easy, because the person who called me yesterday, I just told her, she just went and reduced that to 40. Then she went to her tap and opened it, and it was fine. After that, she didn't have any problem. But she's been living in the house, because it's a new house that she moved into. She's been living there for more than a month. And she almost even called a gas engineer to come out to control a problem which is really very basic. Anybody can do that. So the second point again is about because it's winter, there's one thing that everybody here can do. Don't open your windows, don't open your doors. Sorry, don't open your windows and then the doors, you open the door and close it, but don't keep them open because each time you do that, you are losing heat gas out of the house. Then you want to heat the house, you need to use a lot of gas to heat it, which technically, again, is just a waste of energy. You'll be using less energy if you just keep those windows closed. You only need a bit of air from time to time because if you leave the window locked the whole day, you get into problems with condensation. And when you get condensation, then you get mold inside the house, then you can get illnesses and other related things. So places are cold, don't keep those windows open.
Shouldn't we open at all? Shouldn't we refresh them?
That's what I said. You can open the window for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but don't keep it open.
Okay.
The whole day, don't keep it for 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, it doesn't make any sense because you are making air to get inside the house. You want to heat the house, you need to use more energy to heat the house. Yeah,
makes sense.
Any electrical appliance that you are not using, don't keep it on standby. Most of our things, we are all at home now. If you go and look at the kettle, your TV set, most of those things are on standby. To put it off means that you literally need to go to the plug and put that button off. Because when it's on standby, electricity is still being used. You don't need to do that. Don't keep anything on standby because it's using energy. Just go and turn that button off. You are going to save a lot of, I think, in a year, you will save up to about £50 if you just do that one little thing instead of keeping electrical appliances on standby. Put them off. When you are not in a room, there's no reason why there should be lights in that room. Just like there's no reason if nobody is sleeping in a room that the heating system, the radiator should be on. There's technically no point. Why are you heating a house or a room that nobody is sleeping in? When there's nobody in the room, put the radiator. You need to physically go and turn that radiator because they dial by the radiator on the right. Most of radiators have that dial on the right. Just turn that to 0 so that room is not heated. But from time to time, if that room is not used for a long time, remember to be opening the window from time to time, but also make sure that the radiator is down to 0 so that you shouldn't be using the heating during winter as we are now. The winter now is not as bad as it was. I first came to this country on the 18th of September 2001. The snow we had back then was about 6 inches. So we are really lucky that places are not so cold, though it also has its problems with climate change and all of that. But by now we are in November. Half of the people who are on this call will not be on now because places will be so cold you don't want to do any other thing. Again, you just want to get under your blanket and sleep. But things are changing. So don't use any electrical appliance that you shouldn't be using at any time. We'll talk about, we'll go to the kitchen. Now in the kitchen, you have lots of appliances that you use from the fridge. The fridge runs on 24/7. The fridge temperature that you should leave always should be 5 because you have that dial inside that you can turn up to 7. 7 is just too hot. It's too cold. It gets it too cold and then you use a lot of electricity. So that dial should be on 5. 5 is what is recommended. The freezer should be on -18 degrees centigrades. That is enough. You don't need to make it too cold that if you take some food out of the fridge, you need to spend 1 or 2 days again before it's ready for you to cook. So just really very simple things that we can do. Every single house has a door. They have keyholes that air can get in. So one of the things that we all of us can do here is just drought-proofing your windows. If there are holes or there are spaces where air can get into the house, there are very simple things that you can do to block those holes. The windows, your letterbox sometimes air can get inside. So if your letterbox does not have that cover, try to cover it. All this is to prevent the amount of coal that's getting into the house, so that the house should be warm. And then you are inside the house, always close your curtain, and then wear warm clothes. It is that, because the person that needs to be warm that needs to keep warm is a human being. It's you and me. It's not the room that you are warming. It's actually you and me. So make sure that you do the basic things. If you need to wear gloves when places get very cold, you wear gloves. You wear a very hot jacket. You keep warm for a long time, and you won't need to use so much gas to heat the house every single time. A tumbler dryer. I'm from Africa. I'm from Cameroon. It's only when I came here that I learned that when you wash your clothes, you can put inside a machine, then you dry them off. In Africa, when we wash our clothes, we go and dry them out in the sun. Because we came here and everybody's using a tumbler dryer, we want to start using that. Seriously, especially you can use a tumbler dryer in winter. During summer, when you wash your clothes, go and dry them outside, they'll still get dry. Because a tumbler dryer is one of the most expensive electrical appliances you have inside the house. So don't use it if you can avoid it. Your washing machine, when you want to use your washing machine, just make sure that it's on full load. I have a friend who when he uses two shirts, he puts inside the washing machine, then he washes it. And then I told him, because of this project, what we learned as part of the project, I went and told him that, look, you are wasting a lot of electricity just washing one shirt and two shirts, when you need to get your washing machine full before you use it. That way you don't, instead of doing 5 washes in a week, you can just do 2, which is enough. After that, you are using a lot. If you have children in the house, obviously you are going to use more. Bedding. A lot of people go and they take a bath and they are there for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Just reducing the amount of time that you spend bathing by 5-10 minutes can save you more than £50 in a year, which is a lot of money. There is no point why you should be under shower for 30, 45 minutes, which is what some people actually do. The other thing that bathing actually is very important. These electrical showers are very, very, very expensive to run. Hopefully when we have time, there's a table that you can actually get yourself on Citizen Advice website. You can actually go there and put every single electrical appliance in the house and see what it costs to run them. Every single time I put those figures and the appliances, the electric shower is the most expensive electrical appliance you have in the house. So you really have to be careful the way you use it. Nearly all of us are guilty. When you want to drink 1 cup of tea, you go and put water in the kettle full. You are actually using a lot of electricity to heat that water, which is full. You are not going to drink all of that. So just put enough water that you need inside that kettle before you heat it up. The bulbs that you put in your house, they should be LED bulbs. They are cheaper to buy and they are cheaper to run, and they will save you money. We don't use the bulbs that we used to use when we were back in the continent. We need to adopt all of these very, very simple changes to reduce our gas or electricity bills. And then water is also energy. Sometimes people forget because you pay, is it £36 every month for water? You say water is still part of the energy that we use. If you want to reduce the amount of water that you use, if you have a meter in the house, as I've said, like when I talk about bathing, instead of using all of that bathing for 30 minutes, if you reduce that to 15 minutes, you've actually reduced the amount of water that you are going to use when you're bathing. And then obviously you are going to reduce your bills. Some people don't have meters in their water, so they can use that again and again. But again, we are all talking about reducing the damage that we do to the climate. So the less energy that we can use and still stay safe, we can still have more money to do different things, to buy food and buy clothes, and not necessarily give it to these energy companies that already have a lot of money. We are saving ourselves and we have extra money that we can also send back to the people that need it. When I think I haven't talked about using a washing machine. Now, no, I think I've mentioned that. When you say washing machine, I think I said always make sure that it's completely full before you use it. So I think those are the basic points. Your radiator has buttons between 0 to 5. Keep that between, if there's a baby in the house, you can turn that up to about 4. Never turn it to 5, because it simply means that you are getting more gas. You're using more gas to heat the house than is absolutely necessary. So those are very little points that we can all adopt at home, and then save gas and energy and get extra money to do different things. So I'll be, after this, when the second person talks, I'll be available for any questions that you have. So Julie.
We have some questions. What about those struggling to heat their homes? What advice do you have for them? Those who are struggling to heat, to light, to pay their bills? Because energy, like you've said, you've talked about switching the lights off and the appliances in the home. But there are people actually struggling to heat their home. So their challenge is not keeping windows open or whatever. Their challenge is how can they get some help to heat their homes? What can they do? Where can they go?
Generally, a lot of most of the people that we work with, they have energy debt, and almost every single energy company, they have a trust. If you get into debt, you can apply to that fund to some. They'll write off part of that debt so that you start paying the rest of it. But again, if you haven't used so much energy that you are spending 300, 400 pounds in a month, reduce the amount of energy that you're using. If you reduce that, obviously the amount that you get in your bill will go down. There's another point with prepayment and paying monthly or quarterly. If you think you are struggling to pay your bills, contact your energy company and ask them to put you on a prepayment meter. Prepayment meters, well, the general advice that they will give is that prepayment meters are more expensive than when you're paying monthly or quarterly. But technically, I've met about 2 or 3 people who've saved more than £150 because they moved from their prepayment method to because they moved from paying monthly by direct debit, and they were using they asked their energy company to put them on prepayment method, and they saved money. They saved money because you're actually paying only for what you need and what you are using. But with paying monthly, sometimes you don't know where those figures come from, and then make sure that you are not paying an estimated bill. So when you receive your bill, if you look on the bill and you see an E there, the E stands for estimated, and A, if you see the letter A there, it tells that they're actually using your figures now, the right figure that you're using to pay. Now with a lot of smart meters, you technically don't need. Everybody now pays actual bills, but some people are still using the old system and still paying estimated bills. But if you have a smart meter, you get your real bill in real time.
Okay. So people who are struggling with energy debt or who are struggling to pay, but there are people who are struggling, but they don't have debt. You see, we assume that just because someone's struggling, they are in debt. But there are people who don't have debt. How do we support them? Who can help them? Where can they go?
Generally, your first stop is your energy company. If you are struggling and you are on the monthly payment or quarterly payment, get on a prepayment meter. And then also again, use your electricity smartly. Don't overuse electricity or gas that you cannot afford. Use just what you can afford. When you stay within your budget, you will not get into trouble. But when you start encroaching and you heat your house for 6 hours in a day or 24 hours in a day. I went to one lady's house and she has central heating, but she has this old heating system, and she puts both of them on at the same time. When I asked her, why are you doing that? She says, oh, it's very, very cool. And she kept complaining that her bill was very, very high. I said, but well, that's why your bill is high. I went to another one's house where she had three fridges, you will not believe it, three. She had one deep freezer and two fridges. I asked her, why are you running three fridges? It doesn't make any sense. I had to convince her to put one of them off. But the other two, she said there was no way she needed those two fridges, so she would use them. But she kept complaining. Our project, we support people who have debt, who are struggling with small vouchers, but then we need to assess them before we give out those vouchers. So hopefully anybody here who has any problems, they can get through to Julie and we'll get their details. I will get through to them.
Mm-hmm. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard what Mr. Niva says. If you're struggling with your energy bills, reach out to us. Reach out to our amazing admin, Rachel Barbara. And the details are, she'll put the details in the chat, hello@warding.org.uk. And we can then signpost you over to COC, or we can have a conversation around what else you might need that we can also support you with. The important thing is we're here to ensure that Black communities get through this season without disappearing through the cracks like we always do, because we are always considered BAME, and there's a lot of money that government says it's targeting towards the BAME. But inside the BAME, the Black people always fall on the wayside. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen for the people of Liverpool. So we can support you with your energy bills, with energy efficiency and management. And if you fulfill certain criteria, you might actually get some money off your bill, as in a voucher that will support your energy consumption in this or next month. So thank you, Mr. Niva, for sharing with us the different ways we can ensure that our home stays heated and we continue to eat and heat in this season. And someone is asking, if you got a voucher about a year ago, can you reapply? Because it's now a new year, and surely that was last year, and you know. You're muted. You're muted, Mr. Niva.
Well, is it okay now?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's from your system that you.
No, you mute yourself.
No, I didn't do that because I just finished talking. Then you went off. I don't know how that happened, but it wasn't me. But
my hands are here. They haven't touched nothing.
No, I didn't. The way the vouchers work is that we can only give people one. Otherwise, we'll get into trouble. Except we have some more funding before we can give people more vouchers. But we can only give one set, a house will just one set of vouchers. Unfortunately, if there was more money, yes, we could have been able. But hopefully next year we'll get some more funding, so we can go back to the people that have already issued the vouchers. So,
okay, so is there any hope that maybe there could be any future funding to support?
Hopefully, yeah, next year, hopefully, yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Beautiful. We like the sound of that. So, without further ado, we want to thank Mr. Niva. And someone is saying, I'm not in debt, but I'm currently struggling. I cannot afford to put my heating on. That's what I did say before, Francis. That there are people who are not in debt, but they are struggling and they are freezing in their homes. It's freezing, you know. I have 2 blankets on right now because, you know, I follow your advice. Don't heat the house, heat the person. But, you know, how long can one do that before they get, you know, lung-related complications and challenges? And we have Omolola Ayeni saying they're not in debt, but they're struggling.
Well, as I've said, there is very little that we can do, in the sense that we are all struggling technically. Again, heat yourself, get covered, wear gloves, put a headgear, just be as warm as possible, because in the end, that's what is absolutely necessary. And then use your gas smartly. Use it when it's necessary. If it's absolutely necessary, you put on your timer, because you can put your timer on when your gas comes on and when it goes off, and put it just to come on and go off for the time that you can afford that. Don't put on your gas for 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours in a day. Because some people do. Some people actually leave their gas on 24/7. But if timers are brilliant,
these people are not even heating their homes. That's what they are saying. If you check the chat, you'll see what people are saying, because the conversation is going on in the chat. And people are saying they cannot afford to put the heating on. They are not putting the heating on. People have babies, people have health challenges. So it's not a question of get the heating lower, get the heating off. People are not able to heat their home. And they have babies and they have children, and it is getting desperate. And that's
okay. Let me get Francis to talk, because he's also part of this energy project. He says he wants to add something. Francis.
You're muted, Mr. Langley.
I'm muted.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Francis, you need to play around with your thing.
Woo! That is very loud.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so can you please repeat that question so I can understand exactly? I do have a clue of what you're saying, but I need to get that in my head before.
Right. There are a couple of questions. There are people who are not in debt, but they are currently struggling. They cannot afford to put their heating on. Is there anything they can do? That's one question. Second question is, how does one change from paying an estimated amount to the actual amount? That's number 2. Question number 3 is also around heating. They are not even able to heat their homes. They have a baby. They have health challenges. It's always cold. They need help. So these are people who I don't know if you've reached out to them already, because if you haven't, then they definitely need Citizens Outreach Coalition to reach out to them and see the help that they can be afforded.
Okay. You're meant to be asking me one question, Julie. Now you've gone to 3, which is really good. I like that.
They're all in the chat, so I'm just passing on the information.
Okay, I don't know the person that are struggling for their energy. Yeah. I'll answer that question first. Are they in a residential social landlord property? If they're in the RSL, which means residential social landlord property, most of the RSL have got what you call tenancy sustainment offices. They've also got the vouchers that they don't normally talk about. Some have, some haven't. And they can help with giving out vouchers. I went to a meeting about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and Knowsley Council actually have, if you call the council, you actually speak to them if you're in a Knowsley borough, for people that are on monthly and quarterly, they have a quota as well of money or support that they give for quarterly or monthly. So you can also call like the likes of the CAB. They've got specialist advice that sits with you, and it can help to find like the funders that are out there that can fund certain amount of money. They'll look at your circumstances, look at exactly what's happening in your life, and work with you for you to be able to reduce your energy by providing some sort of funding and people that can support you. Our biggest problem with Black people is we do not ask for help. Unfortunately, we don't do that. We will rather struggle when the system, there is quite a lot of things in the system to support us, but we don't ask for help. Like, I've been around the system for a very long time, and I'll tell you on one hand how many people I see on a daily basis that are Black people asking for help. They don't. There's help out there. There's also help from your housing associations. They have a small quota of money if you are in some serious situation, like food bank system. They have like a little bit of money for the energy system, because I've met people who haven't gotten electricity or gas. At the particular time, I make a phone call and they come out and get it sorted. So the help is there. The housing association, if you are in RSL, is your best friend. But a lot of people don't understand that. They just think they're just a tenant and they're just a landlord.
There are also people in private rented accommodation. And you'll find that a lot of Black people are in such situations as well.
Yeah, the ones on private.
Because they are waiting for property pool, and while they are waiting, they have to live somewhere.
Yeah, we'll come to property call.
So Abiola and Omolola, please reach out to us. We have several resources that we can signpost you to. And we also have several resources that we may be able to approach on your behalf. Again, all these organizations, if I may call them that, ask a lot of information of you. They ask you a lot of information. They need to know your circumstances better so that they can really determine that you are in need of that extra support that they can offer you. So I highly recommend that you reach out to us. You can reach out to Francis, and we can see what we can do between the two organizations on what we can do to help you. We are not promising that it will be much. We're not even promising that it might solve your problem. But, like Francis said, if you don't ask, you don't get. And you might find that there's a lot of help out there waiting for you. But because we don't think it's there for us, we don't ask. And so let's ask, because we live here, we pay taxes. This is our home. Let's ask. So I look forward to hearing from you, Abiola and Omolola. Also connect with Rachel Barbara. You can see the little purple icon on the screen. Reach out to her, give her your email, give her your number, so that we can also reach out to you and vice versa. So I'm sure this conversation can go on for another 2 hours, but we're gonna have to hear from Mr. Langley, because I'm sure he has something that he has prepared for us on the very much connected subject of housing, because we are all here because we live somewhere. And again, the beauty of it is he's also connected to the energy support, but he's here as the housing expert. He's gonna walk us through what steps we can take to access housing that is actually in a livable condition. I remember when I first moved to Liverpool, we lived in a moldy, dark little flat. It wasn't even a flat. It was like a studio thing. But it was moldy, it was cold, didn't have double glazing, it had old types of heaters. But that's the kind of housing most Black people end up in when they first come to whichever city in the UK. But you'll find that that's not the case with a lot of people who are born here. So how do we access the correct housing that is actually nice in nice areas? And when we are in housing, how do we get the repairs done? How do we get to access that extra support that you've talked about? Because you said there's all this support that people can access. How do they access it? What do they have to do to get it as taxpayers, as people who live in the city of Liverpool? So Mr. Langley is our housing expert. He is also our energy expert. And he's very passionate about supporting Black people. He's also one of the leaders of Citizens Outreach Coalition, and they are doing amazing work both here in the Merseyside and in Sierra Leone. So if you know people in Sierra Leone, you should connect to Mr. Langley. They're running some amazing projects over there, but we're focusing on Liverpool and on living right here in the Kingsland. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Francis Langley, and welcome, Mr. Langley.
Okay, I think I'm formally going to say thank you very much, and let's kickstart me coming in. Okay, I'm Francis Langley, like Julie actually introduced me. And before I go further, I just want to say today is International Diabetes Day, which brings me to the housing aspect of it as well, because there's a lot of Black people suffering with diabetes, and they realistically don't understand diabetes itself and what it does to people. I'm diabetes type 2, and I've lived with that for over 5 years, and I'm still okay, and I'm doing things I'm supposed to be doing on a daily basis. So be aware of it, speak to your family members about it, talk to your children about it. It's really important we get to know about it, because they said that Black people are highly likely to have diabetes in our lifetime. So let's look at housing. Right. When I spoke to Julie about housing, the first thing that came to my mind is housing is a big field. What do I say? How do I go along with it? Okay, there's some people struggling to get into properties and to apply for properties. You've got people sofa surfing that are sleeping on people's sofas. You've got overcrowding. You've got people not having nowhere to live. They're in hostels, and they're in properties that are not fit for purpose, but at the same time, they're still in those properties. And realistically, they should not be in that property because it should not be habitual and they should not be living in there. But we all need somewhere to live. How do you get a property in Liverpool? The best way to get a property in Liverpool is to find a residential social landlord, RSL. Private tenancy is all right to have, but you're not secured. Mm-hmm. Because the landlord can sell that property at any given time, even though he has to go through the process of selling it, which basically has to give his 28 days notice and all the systems that kick in place. And you probably end up going to court and start fighting it, but it's not really something that you want to do. You just want a home because it's not only about a property, it's a home that you're looking for. So the best bet at all time is the RSL. Fortunately and unfortunately, I say, property pool is kind of like the main entrance. The main entrance in getting a property in Liverpool. Liverpool haven't got council properties. I hear this quite a lot of time among Black people thinking that it's a council property. The council properties that Liverpool used to have was sold to Liverpool Mutual Homes, which is now called Toros Housing. So you see quite a lot of the vans moving around, HMS and Toros. They all used to be Liverpool City Council properties. So applying for property pool, you can go on the website, Google Property Pool Plus, and it will tell you exactly what you need, like your passport, which basically, if you're from abroad, it will have your stamp or your visa or your leave to remain, or if you're a British citizen, your passport, proof of address, the children, how many children you've got, how long you've lived in the community for. There's quite, I don't want to go through all that. I'll be here till tomorrow. I've got notes on that and I'll pass them to Julie for people to see. But if you go on Property Pool, all the information is there of what you need. You fill in the information, you take down all the information they've requested. The best housing to take it to is Toros Housing because you can walk in there. Most of the RSL haven't got a walk-in service, so you cannot go to the offices. But Toros has got one. If you go down to town, which is just by the tunnel, the Mersey Tunnel, just opposite that, you see a white building as you're going around the corner, and it's next to the library as well on the opposite side of the library. That's where the building is. If you Google Toros, you will see exactly where the address is. The staff there are very helpful. You take all your information down there. It doesn't matter where you are or where you're looking for in Liverpool. Take your information down there because it's a face-to-face. It's better for you to have a face-to-face than sending it online. So you take your information down there and hand that in. And if they need to correspond with you, you have that correspondence with them. Once you get on Property Pool, they'll give you your login details and your password. You go on Property Pool, which is like, again, it's self-explanatory. For some people will struggle. You put in, maybe you want like a 2-bedroom house, the areas that you're looking at. It depends what band they put you on. For you to be on a band A, band B, band C, band D, band E, band F, it's all on the information. I don't want today to be a day that I'm giving you something that you can find for yourself. But you got different banding. Band A means that you get 2 offers. A lot of people are on band A, but it's one of the hardest bands to get a property. And if you accept a property on band A, then that means that you're highly likely to take that property because you've accepted it. In Liverpool, for Black people, if you are going to bid on Property Pool, before you put in that bid, have a look at the property, go to the area and have a look at the area where you want to move. Like I said, once you accept that property, it's going to be very difficult for you to refuse it. Check the schools in the area, make sure there's an area that you want to live in. I don't want to go too much into details about areas, but we all know that there's quite a lot of areas where you go, the color of your skin can determine how you live in there. So check these out. Make sure that's where you really want to be, the schools, the children, how far you have to travel, because all that can add on your stress. So get in there, put in your bid. If you're successful, They'll get you to come down, have a look at the property. If you accept it, then all the paperwork come into effect. And some people go in and they don't understand about their gas, their electricity. This is where the energy kick in. The gas, electricity. We deal with people like that on a daily basis. Where they get into stuff like that, they don't understand. Say like you come from Africa. You don't know nothing about gas and electricity. And all of a sudden, you've got all these bills in your face and you just cannot cope. So that's why we always say to people, get to understand these things. You've got your property and you've got problems with repairs, which comes to the juicy bit of it. Repairs. I'm not sure the dimension of people on this forum at the moment and who's got repairs issue, who's in properties that are struggling with repairs and talking to the landlords and not getting nowhere. I'll come in on that just a little bit, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. If you've got repairs, the best and the first contact is your landlord. The landlord wants to repair the property. Either it's a private landlord or an RSL. They have to repair the property depending on what the repairs are. You tell them about it, you give them time to contact you, and you give them time to do the repairs. If you're not happy with the repairs, you put in a complaint. After you put in a complaint, you have to go through the complaint procedure. Some people go from putting a complaint, telling the landlords and start screaming and shouting. Put in a complaint. Don't sit there and suffer in silence. Complain about it. Once you've complained about it and go through the system of the complaint, you have to ask them, what is your complaint procedure? What do I need to do? Ask question. Let them give you the complaint procedure. You put in a complaint. If you're not happy with what's going on, you can contact your councillors, your MP, because RSLs and private landlords do not want you to contact these people. And once these people get on board, things get done and it happens. At the end of this, I have got notes, phone numbers of all the MPs in Liverpool and ways I can contact your councillor. I've got all that sorted. So with that in mind, contact your MP, contact your councillors. They're your best friends. And that is what they've been actually put in that place for them to do. Once a letter or email meets RSL and it's somewhere from the councillors or the MP, things happen. I've been in the housing situation for a long time. I've seen it on different levels. And I know people actually act on these things. Like I said it in the first instance, your landlord wants to make sure that your property is in a better condition because they're receiving the money. And it's an obligation that they have. Reason why they've got the obligation, because you've got a tenancy agreement. Before I got into housing, I have never looked at my tenancy agreement. I sign it. I don't know what's written on it. And I'm sure 50, 60% of people here have never read their tenancy agreement. The obligation is there for what the landlord has to do and what you have to do. If you don't read it, you don't understand it, you will never get to understand exactly what to do when it comes to repairs and challenging your landlord. It's there in black and white. Look at it, understand it, read it, contact your landlord. If you're not getting nowhere, contact the MP, contact the councillors. Then you will get somewhere. There's no way after that level that no one is going to respond to you. That is on the repair side of it. Now, damp and mold, which is the big thing at the moment in the UK. Damp and mold is a very long thing to discuss. Can people just ping, let me know, so I know there's a feeling here for damp and mold here. So do people have damp and mold situation?
Yes.
So everyone have got it.
Yes.
Okay. With damp and mold, it's one of them where, because I said it's a very big thing at the moment with all RSLs and everyone trying to make sure that the damp and mold situation is sorted. The only damp and mold I will discuss here is something to do with condensation, the mold situation, and the damp, which is inside the building, right? Because you've also got what you call a rising damp, which is the landlord has to deal with the rising damp. You've got penetrating damp, which is the landlord's responsibility to deal with that. You've got construction damp, which is the structure of the building we're living in. That is the landlord's responsibility. And you've got condensation, which might be the landlord or your problem. Because when it comes to condensation and mold, it could be the way that you live in, i.e., you've got portable heaters inside your house. You're doing laundry inside your house and putting it over the heaters. If you launder inside your house and you're not using a dryer, always make sure that you close the bathroom door, put whatever you got to put inside the bathroom, and open the window or put the fan on. So this is the responsibilities, condensation and mold. However, if you've got damp, mold, or condensation inside your house, report that straight to your landlord. Don't wait for it. Don't start treating it. Report it. Because they have got a duty to investigate that. It is their duty. So they will send a surveyor out or someone like me to come out and do what you call a property health check. They'll come out, have a look around, check your property, make sure that your windows are okay, check if you've got condensation, if you've got damp, you've got mold. They can give you light, bite-sized advice on it. And the next step is to get a surveyor to come and look at the property because that's what they're trained for. The surveyor will come. Some of them have got this camera. They can actually look at the wall and see beyond the wall and see the level of damp that you've got there. So, and once they've come out to look at that, they can make appointments for the repairs team to come out and get the work done. What they say now about molds, because if you look at the issue with mold in Liverpool at the moment, it's highly likely on your window frames and around the bath. You find a lot of mold around it. Mold is the black spots that you've got inside your bathroom. It's normally around the windows as well. Check your house. Check if you've got mold. Condensation is that little droplet of water that's on the window. Check if you've got that as well. Look for damp. Look on the ceiling for the black mold stuff. Mold, if you've got a little child in the house, when you're reporting damp and mold, let your housing or your private landlord know that you've got a little child or the old person in the house. Because it's part of the health issue as well. And they should be looking at that and taking that into consideration when they're coming out to get the job done. Okay. Check if you've got an extractor fan inside your kitchen and one inside your bathroom as well. If you haven't got one, speak to your landlord. Because this is part of the ventilation that's supposed to be inside the property. That's why they're going to send out a surveyor for the surveyor to come out and check the property. Damp and mold is a big thing because of what happened to that little boy in London or so. It affects us if you've got asthma. It's got a bad smell. If you've got any breathing problem, damp and mold can be an impact on your health. Don't suffer in silence. Contact your landlord, speak to them, let them come out because they have got an obligation to come out and investigate. I'm going to take some questions after this. So if you're going to check for ventilation in your house, you check your air vents. I've been to properties where the air vent is kind of like the little white thing that can be at the top by the ceiling or at the bottom wall, the bottom page, towards the bottom of the wall. It's normally where you've got people have firesides on the side of the fireside. You can have it in your bedroom. It's like a vent. I've seen people covering this vent because it's cold. Do not cover your vent. Don't cover your vent because that's why it's there to circulate air inside your house. So covering it, if you find a housing officer that goes out to do a property check and see the vent cover, it will say to you straight away, this is one of the reasons why you've got damp and mold inside your property, especially mold. I know it's cold, but let the vent, leave the vent open. I think I've covered most of the stuff on housing.
So we leave the vent open. Mr. Niva told us to close everything. So
when you say everything,
yes.
Mr. Niva will be talking about closing your doors, closing your...
Because I have one of those vents and it has a little plastic thing that you can actually close.
Yes, some vents have got it, some vents hasn't got it.
Yeah, but when it's open, oh my God.
Yeah, you can hear the
even if you hit your house, it's like there's a little door that's letting cold in.
Then if you are from a housing association, you need to inform them about it. There might be something wrong with your vent.
Because when it's open and it's cold outside, it's letting in cold.
That's what I'm saying. Because that's what you call excess air coming to your property. So you need to inform them about it. And
but it's my house. I have no one to inform.
There you go. There you go. So I know it's not going to be fully open. Leave it a bit open. And even if you have to leave it open for an hour or 2 hours a day.
Right.
And then close it again. So you've got a vent where you've got an opportunity to leave it open and to close it. It's just like a window. It's an additional ventilation system that you've got there. So I think you're in a better position then.
Okay.
Has anyone got any questions?
Right. We got a question before. Is there anyone or organizations in Liverpool vetting for the disparities in accessing housing, especially for the Black ethnic minority? I know people who have gone through the avenues mentioned here, but are still struggling to access housing. And I know people who have done that. And like I said before, they ended up in private housing, which wasn't their original aim, because they could not even afford the house they are in, because it was where the charges are a lot higher in private housing. They can charge what private landlords can charge what they wish. So people literally need social housing. How can they get around the system, so to speak? Because I'm sure there are ways to get around the system. The property pool system, they are, my daughter's friend gave up on property pool. She couldn't get the property, so she ended up also in a private housing flat.
Okay, I like that question. To the point where I think it's a question of equal opportunities here. Which you've got Steve Biko Housing, which is in Toxteth area, right? I'm sure you've heard about it.
I've heard of it.
If Steve Biko Housing is more for Black people, and unfortunately, they have got more requests than properties to give out to people. It's the same thing as the RSL. We're growing. Let me say we're going older, and the older people are staying longer. So the demand for properties, especially in Liverpool, is very, very high, to the point where there's not enough properties in the RSLs, even though they're building and building and building more. If you drive around Liverpool now, you'll see the amount of properties that are coming up that are through the housing associations. Liverpool, Knowsley, because I've worked for all different housing associations. And it's part of their plan to build more houses. So what a lot of people don't understand about property pool as well, you have got a section on property pool called Available Now. Available Now properties are the ones that, if you've registered on property pool and you go on the section of Available Now and see a property that you want, you can call the RSL that's responsible for that property and tell them or put your name forward for that property. Now, that is another way of getting a property quicker, because they all have to put that kind of property on the system on Available Now.
Are there many on the Available Now link?
It depends.
Or is it usually empty?
It depends what's available. That's why they call it Available Now. It depends what's available at that particular time. Now, if once you register on property pool, just keep an eye on it. It's one of those few areas. Zoopla is another one as well. Some of the RSLs put their properties on Zoopla. You don't have to bid for these properties.
Because I used to work in housing.
I know.
And unfortunately, I used to have the bad habits that housing people do. And one of the things we would never do is put nice properties on Available Now. So, but those that were hard to let, the voids that had been void forever, properties in areas that nobody wants to go, those were available now. And that's where they normally put people. They just tell you this is available now, and if you don't take it, that's strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. You refuse 3 properties, we're going to the back of the line.
But that's the thing with property pool, because that's why I said before you put your name down on the property, go and have a look at the property, see if you like the area, do some research in the area. Then you stand a good chance of saying, no, I don't want it, or yeah, I want it. A lot of people put their name on the property out of desperation. And that's why they end up in some areas where they find out that we've made a bad choice. One of those areas used to be in Stockbridge Village, because I had quite a lot of work to do in that area for Black people. Quite a lot of work with the housing. And I don't want to go into that at this moment, but it's one area where we used to tell people, do not move down there. Don't. But over the years...
Has gentrified.
It's, I mean, there's a little bit of community spirit.
Yeah.
Like in most areas, like down Dovecote area as well, because I used to live down here myself. At one point, it wasn't the best area to be, but things are improving. More people are going down that end, and there's a lot more properties coming up from that area. The first thing to do is to get on property pool. It's not an easy fix. It's not a quick fix. Some people have been on property pool for over 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that is the reality. They've been on it for 4 or 5 years. Some people have been on it for about a year and they've got a property.
Or some people have been on it for a minute and got a property.
Well, I spent some time with Housing Options, and which was the other side of property pool, and was able to change. Had the opportunity of changing banding and all that. It was part of my job. So I saw quite a lot of things that was happening. There was good things because people were crying for help and they were asking questions. You know,
so can you be forced to take a property because some people say that it wasn't even considered that they could be isolated and they are forced to take a property, and so they don't have community. They're in an area where they don't know nobody, and the neighbors are not necessarily very welcoming. But you were told that's what's available. You better take it now because you have refused several others, and this is the only thing we have for you now.
It's not easy now for the RSL to say that to someone that's looking for a property, especially from a Black and ethnic minority.
Ooh.
It's not easy because what you're doing there then is actually creating a future problem. The RSL, the system of the RSL now is much more closer to the tenant. The only difference is the tenants is not coming closer to the RSL to ask questions and get support. Like I said before, most of the RSLs have got tenancy sustainment officers. And part of their job is to help people to go into employment. Part of their job is to work with people who've got mental health issue. Take like for the likes of Toros Housing, where they've got the Toros Foundation. So the foundation as well have got a separate thing that they do, and they support the tenant. But like I said, people do not contact. The only what they know is that is my landlord. There's more to the landlord now than the way things used to be. And
so how should people approach, say, the housing officer or the whatever they call them today, who are supposed to be working on voids or in the area they're working in? How should they approach them in order to
the best way to approach the
move up quicker and get in the areas that they're looking to get a property?
Do you mean how do they speak to the housing officer?
Yeah, how can they get? What is there anything they can say that will help them move faster?
On property pool? Unfortunately, there's nothing you can say to property pool to move you ahead of the system. The only thing you can do is, you've got a health condition, make sure you take your doctor's report down to the likes of Toros Housing for them to put it on. That can help on your property pool application. You're overcrowded, make sure you do that. If there's a change of circumstances in your family life, make sure you do the change of circumstances. Because when you go on property pool, there's quite a lot of information there that people need to know. And if you're not updating, because imagine someone is on property pool for about 3-4 years. They haven't updated their system. They probably have kids. They probably move away from the area. They probably had some health conditions. And they're still on the same banding. Update your circumstances. speak to the housing providers. Pick up that phone and make that phone call. Because if you don't do it, you're still going to be in the same situation. I know a lot of people want to actually hear about this brilliant housing system that is out there. But unfortunately, I am not going to lie to no one. It doesn't exist. What exists is, look in the Echo. If you're looking for RSLs, I used to do that every Thursday. Zoopla, check Zoopla. At times, the RSLs do put their properties on Zoopla. Property pool is changing. They're changing property pool in January. It was supposed to change on the 2nd of November, but they've moved it to January. So there's some new banding coming up, and they're already moving things. I've seen like a little snapshot of it, but we're waiting for January to come to have a good look at it. And let your RSL be your best friend. If you're in RSL property, speak to them. If you've got repairs, speak to them, contact them, send them. The first thing I always say about repairs is take a photo of the repair. When you speak to someone, get their name, write their name down, the time that you spoke to them, even if they give you their first name, get all that down. Then you know when it's time for you to make a complaint, you have got the full information there that you need to use. And your emotions, don't fight with it. Because most of the time when we get angry, we say things that we don't really mean. And, you know, if you're on the phone and you're saying a lot of things to people that they don't want to hear, you know exactly how people behave in the housing situation. Speak to people. Pick up the phone and make that phone call.
Right. So there are a few questions in the chat, actually. Lorraine, would you just clarify your question? What do you do if you're not renting? You bought your house. You bought the house. Are we talking about energy or are we talking about housing? It's a bit confusing on that front. And there's another question, so I will wait for Lorraine to clarify on that one. There's another question. Is there any energy support for families with children with complex needs? Unfortunately, sometimes it's out of control, especially with the amount of washing you have to do. And also if a child is obsessed with things like lights, is there any support for families with, children with special needs, complex needs? Where can they go? What can they do? Because obviously, like she says, if there's a lot of washing to do and you've got to wash it, it's cold, you have to dry it. And Francis told us not to use our dryers, but there are only so many radiators in the house if you're making so many wash loads because of the needs of your children. And so.
Okay, that's a very, very, very good question, which comes to an assessment. Like, again, I'm going to take you again through speaking to your housing for the start. The tenancy sustainment offices have got quite a lot of work to do. Speak to the CAB. They're actually specialized in dealing with complex needs. And you can find someone that can sit with you, look at your family circumstances, see what application is out there to help you and your family, depending exactly what's going on in your life, your income, and your outgoing. And these are the best people to sit with because that is their area of work. I have got the number for the CAB and shelter. I've got all that, where you can just go online. At times, you just type in your circumstances and you can see how many funders are out there that can actually support you and help you. If you need support in writing some of that, I'm sure Julie is a special woman and she's very good at writing things. She can help you. Speak to your RSLs as well. And don't suffer on your own. Don't suffer in silence. Because one of the biggest things among we Black people, like I said before, we don't ask for help. There's a lot of more support out there, especially for families. But we do not ask for help. Ask for help. Pick up that phone. That's the best thing you could ever do.
There's also something else that I've just remembered when you just said that Julie, dude, stop it. Right. So if you're a single parent and you're a woman, we might have a conversation. Because I'm speaking to Turn to Us. Yeah. And we are trying to put together a program for single parents. They actually came to me and they were talking about single parents, and I was like, well, what about non-single parents? And they said, let's first focus on single parents. So if you're a single parent, you might want to speak to Rachel and let's have a little list. And so we are able to show them the need, because that's one of the other things they were saying. Is there a large need in Liverpool for Black and ethnically diverse people of color who are single parents who might need support? And I said, okay, we work with women. And they said, yeah, that's why we've come to you. We were looking at women, because usually it's women who are single parents. And I said, okay, I hear you. And I love the conversation and get back to you. So this is a great platform to share this information with those people you know that are single parents. I'll tell you one thing that I have put out there, and I'll say it here again. Warding is not a means testing organization. We are not the police. We are not Home Office, and we are not Citizens Advice. So we work with women who are Black. That's the criteria we do. That's it. You're Black, you're a woman. So if you're a man and you have a woman in your house, you know, let the woman know, because we will serve you through the woman in your home. And so having put that out there to turn to us, they said they'd get back to me, and we should have a conversation in January. So I'm sure they'll get back to me, because some of you who are on here know that we've worked with Turn to Us before, where we were able to offer parents and families a grant of £500 or so. And again, we don't do means testing. That's not our job. They can do their jobs. Our job is to support Black people. That's it. Yeah. So, and with that, if you are struggling with other things and you are not a single parent, we might have a conversation with you with Turn to Us. But we would need to sit down and put it together, because they may ask deeper questions, because currently they are wanting to work with single parents in Liverpool. Don't ask me why, but that's their current model at the moment. So if you know somebody and they are a single parent, you know, speak to our project admin and let's put together a list of people, and we will be able to show Turn to Us that we have the need and we are able to support people with a grant. And who wouldn't do it £500? I probably would if I qualified.
Someone's gonna tell her that she's muted. Julie, all can hear you.
Sorry, I'm reading the question and I muted myself. Why change from paying an estimated amount to the actual amount? Must I have a smart meter to be able to stop paying an estimated amount? This is a question that the person is saying it wasn't answered before. And I'll throw that at you, Mr. Langley, because it's a challenge. People are being charged for estimated amounts, even though they are giving these energy companies the correct, you know, figures on their meters, and they still get bills that are estimated. What can they do?
With estimated amount, as long as that bill comes to you and there's an E on it, you have to challenge it. Because it's not saying your actual bill, it's saying your estimated bill.
So I don't know. Let me just find out who asked that question. God bless you. Right. Oh, Rachel. Yes, it's Rachel. Rachel, have you heard that? Carry on, Mr. Langley. Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to be sure who asked the question.
Right.
Rachel asked the question, so you can ask them.
They should challenge it, and if they're not getting nowhere, they should then inform and report to the regulator and Ofgem. That's what they need to do. If they're not getting no response and no proper feedback from them, then they have to make that complaint. We have to complain. We have to pick up the phone. We have to talk. These are the problems that we Black people are facing. Because if you get an estimated bill and you know you've sent them your meter reading and you've got evidence of that, then make that complaint. Because that's how they actually find these people for them making those mistakes. So they need the complaints to come in for them to do their own job. Complain.
So if you're receiving estimated bills, first of all, make a note of all your bills. Make a note of the messages you've been sending to the energy company. Obviously, this will be via email, hopefully, because if you're just calling them, they can deny that you've called them, even though they keep all recordings or conversations just in case they have to come back to you. So first of all, show them your true readings. Hopefully, they are below what they are estimating, because if your bill is higher, then they'll be singing all the way to the bank. They'll just charge you for the extra. So make sure that whatever you are consuming is lower than what they are charging you for. Let them know, communicate, send them a list of your readings over the past few months. And then, like Mr. Francis says, complain to Ofgem. I've complained to Ofgem 3 times, and every time I have won the complaint and they've given me back something. So complain, like he says. We Black people don't like to complain.
No.
Yeah, because we fear that they might look at other things. It's energy. They won't look at anything else in your life. Energy. So they're supposed to supply you with electricity, gas, water. Complain if they are not doing the right thing. Okay, so do the right thing. We have a few people with their hands up. Ella has their hand up. I think Ella wanted to say something.
Yes, can I talk now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask, because you talked about estimated bill now. How about from the onset of the contract? You specifically said you don't want to do estimates. You want your actual. And all the while, you thought you were being sent your actual, because there have been days, months where you get to pay $450 as your bill, $500, sometimes $430, just very high amounts of money, and we've been paying. Then all of a sudden, you receive a call saying you're owing about $2,000 that you haven't paid. And I'm wondering, where's that coming from? I thought all the while I have been paying my actual. If that is just estimate, why would estimate be up to $450, $500, $430, $470? Do you understand? And then we've been going back and forth with these arguments. They are saying, oh, okay, what we can do is split this bill across, several months, then you get to pay in bits. And I'm like, no, we're not paying, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not owing. We've been paying the actual. And then it's just been hanging. We haven't really gotten anything resolved yet. They promised they were going to call back in October to try and see how this can be sorted. And they categorically said, these bills, once you are being charged or they come up to tell you you're owing a certain amount of money, it doesn't go away, because you still have to pay it. And we're saying, I don't know how you guys are going to do this, but we're not going to pay, because we're paying outrageous amounts over the months, thinking or believing, or you gave us the impression that we've been paying the actual bill. All of a sudden now you're saying estimate. And they also came up and said all those months they haven't been able to read the meter. If you haven't read the meter, how have you been coming up with these bills, with the bills we've been sending over for us to pay? So it's just been
so no one has come to read your meter. Is your meter the old style meter, or is it a smart meter?
They come once in a while to read, supposedly, and go back.
Have you been sending them your meter readings? Because what I'm hearing is you ask them for your actual bill. So you have some communication with them, telling them you want to pay your actual bill as opposed to estimated. And
they said, okay, yes.
So you have some communication with them. That's
yes, from the onset when we did the contract. Yes, we wanted.
And you have been sending them your readings.
When they call and ask for readings, we'll send them. Sometimes they send down maybe an employee of theirs or something to come and read, and then they go down the basement and then they read.
This is something that a lot of us don't do. We're supposed to check our meters monthly if we are not on a prepay. If you're on a pay monthly meter, you're supposed to put it in, like everything else you put in your calendar diary. Read your meter. You should have a day in the month when you read your meters. Your gas meter, your water, your electrical meter, and your water meter if you're on metered water, so that you can have your details, your data, your T's crossed, your I's dotted. So no, because these are large organizations and they can throw a ton of money at they have legal teams that sit there and just run rings around consumers. But Ella, Ofgem is there for you. Like I've said, I've challenged energy companies 3 times before.
Okay.
Yeah, the ombudsman. Actually, I didn't even bother going to Ofgem. I went to the ombudsman. I don't know if that's
exactly. Exactly, is the ombudsman that will solve that problem. Really.
Yes,
because the ombudsman is the middle person.
I didn't even know about them. I just went straight to the ombudsman. Yeah. The ombudsman, as long as you email them with everything, your documentation, dated communications, they are very, very thorough. Yeah. They will get back to you. They may take a few, but they get back to you. And more often than not, they rule in favor of the consumer.
Okay.
Because these companies are raking in billions. So if someone if a client tells you, I want things this way, and it's in the contract, then you can't turn around and do your own thing and expect.
Exactly. That was what we said. We insisted. You can't turn this around. We made it clear from.
Is your friend.
All right, so I'll do that. Thank you, Julie.
Should I just add that?
Mr. Niba will.
Should I just add that the contacts of the ombudsman, they are online. You can actually check them. You can phone. You can send them an email. It's good that you have all of the information before you contact them. When you contact them, the energy ombudsman is like the financial ombudsman. They have the responsibility to defend consumers. As Julia has just said, most of the time they will stand on your side because those energy companies, they have more money than they can even manage. If you have a good enough case, they will rule in your favor. And I'll give an example of somebody who was on a prepayment matter in a house for 3 years. He left that house. And when he moved to his new house, because he left his address when he was moving to the new house, and the new company that took over because of all of this trouble that they had with the energy companies, the new one sent me an energy bill for £1,400. And the guy said, no, I was on prepayment. When he contacted me, I said, have you ever been on pay monthly or quarterly? And he said, no. I said, then there's absolutely no way in this world that you had that bill. So I told him that write back to them and tell them to send you a breakdown of that bill, how it happened. Up to now, they've not got back to him because there's no bill. And I guess that what happened was that when SSC, which is the company, when they were selling over to OVU, that's taking over, they just packaged that as part of their liabilities and then gave it to the new company. So there was technically no bill. They just said, this guy's owing us £1,400. And the guy said, this has been getting on his nerves. The problem that we have, and Julia has repeated this, Francis has repeated it, is we don't complain. Complain. Even when you are wrong, complain. Sometimes they'll support you. We must just get it, because that's what the people in this country do. Even when they are wrong, they complain. So we should also learn that and complain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. There is another question here. It says, how do you get information to rectify mold if you have purchased your house? If you have mold in your home, but you are a homeowner, how do you get help? How do you rectify the situation?
When you say you've got mold in your house, you've got different kind of mold. So the first thing I would do if I've got mold in my property is to go to the likes of B&M and B&Q. In B&M, they've got this mold remover. Get it, use it, and see the outcome of it. If it doesn't solve the immediate problem and it comes back after the couple of weeks, basically it is a homeowner, right? You own your property. Then they have to get a builder to come in. But the first thing we always do is do something like that by getting the first stage is to just spray it. Because you've got mold removal. I actually got mold inside my bathroom and I went to B&M. No, it's Urban Bargain that I went to. I got this black mold spray in there. And I used it and they got rid of the mold straight away. Which was, I don't know if I can say it's magic, but that solved the problem.
Sometimes, like you say, sometimes you might have to get somebody to look at the cause of the mold.
Yep.
But if it's at the damp proof course level, it might be that your damp proof course is not as effective anymore. Because these days the damp course treatment is supposed to last for 10 to 15 years.
Depending what damp.
If you've lived in your house for all that time and you've never had it checked or changed, then it's probably due a new course. And it's literally, like you said, something you get from B&Q.
Yeah.
And you can get someone to do it for you in a day, and they drill holes in your house from the outside, and they inject the damp-proof chemical. It's a chemical into your brickwork, and then they seal those holes, and your home is protected for another 10 to 15 years. They also give you a certificate. So if you're getting mold over mold again and again, you might try that as well, because we've done that recently in a property in Picton. And then if it could be a problem of condensation maybe. And as Francis said, you could just get that spray and it could also solve it just like that. There's some stuff, I call it stuff, that I purchased on a website called Must Have Ideas. And it's again for mold. And we put it in our bathroom and it cleared the stuff. It was like magic. And it looked like silicone. You put it on with the problem and you leave it on for 3 hours. So you can put it on and go to work and come back. So 3 hours is the minimum. And then you come back and you wipe it with a cold damp cloth, and it literally wipes away the mold. It's like it wipes it away. On a larger scale, you might have to get a chemical and paint it on the walls. Again, usually you get it from B&Q. You paint it on the walls, and then you scrape the paint off the walls, whatever is moldy, and then you use a mold-proof paint, an anti-mold paint, over the walls again. That is the more costly option. Of course, if you're not going towards the option of applying a damp course membrane again to your home. But that is to you, a homeowner. For you, if you're an RSL tenant, get the housing to fix that problem. Because ever since that child died in London, we have rights as Black people, and they respond to us when we talk about mold in our homes. So don't suffer in silence. Speak up already. There's a question regarding property pool. Do you advise someone to involve area MP or councillors if they are not being considered for property pool? Now, the assumption is they've been on property pool forever, like people being on property pool for 4 to 5 years. That's too long, to be honest. Like, where are they living? So this, I don't know who it is. It just says iPhone, but there's a question right there.
We advise people to contact the MP for not getting a property on property pool. Is that a question?
Yeah.
I will not personally advise anyone to contact the MP for not getting a property on property pool, because reason is you are not going to have a leg to stand on. The MP is going to write that letter. And basically what the answer is going to be is there's a reason why they say people should bid for a property. Property pool, say for example, I put in an application today and you put in an application tomorrow, right? You can actually be on property pool and be on number 1 till Sunday night or Sunday in the evening, just because of one more day. If I come on that day on Sunday evening and put in a bid, because I've been on property pool longer than you for one day, I will get that property. And because there's a lot of people on property pool waiting for properties, and there is less and less and less housing, all they're going to turn around and say to you is, keep bidding. And that is what property pool does. Keep bidding. Update your circumstances. If you need to come from a band B to a band C, update your circumstances, because at times for the week, you probably get more properties on band C than on band B. And so some people think that because they're on band A, they're going to get a property overnight. It doesn't work like that, depending on how many properties are coming up. There's advantage of people working as well. There's some properties that you see on property pool and it will say, if you've got a job. So understand what property pool is. Going to make a complaint because you're not getting a property on property pool, don't bother doing that. It's a waste of your time.
Okay, so there are times when we can't complain.
Oh, you can write a letter. Your MP might send that letter to... This is the big question. Property pool. You've been an housing officer. So they send it to property pool. Property pool turn around and say, we cannot give you a house because you're meant to be bidding. And you haven't been successful in your bidding because Joe Blocks down there has actually got the property at this time. Tomorrow, Mary's got the property. The next week, So you see where I'm coming from? It's not a case of you complaining and getting a result from that complaint. It's a case of you complaining and they come back to you and say, it's not our fault that you haven't got a property. It's the fault that we haven't got enough properties for everyone.
The end justifies the means.
So complain. But you keep complaining.
You use what you have to get what you want.
So you can write a letter to the MP. You can't stop no one from doing that. The MP can send a letter to Property Pool and ask questions why you're not getting a property. And
it might get you higher.
Exactly. It might get you higher.
Idea to reach out to the MP. But obviously, you have to show the length of how long you've been on Property Pool.
Julie, trust me, I've been on that system for a while. Right. It depends to your circumstances. If you're having circumstances that you're not updating on the system, nothing is going to change.
Right.
So imagine you're a single person and you've been on Property Pool for 5 years. And during that 5 years, you've had a child, you're married, and your house is overcrowded. Property Pool don't know that. The housing providers don't know that. If your house is in a disrepair state, you do not tell them about it. They don't know nothing about it. Pick up that phone, Liverpool City Council. What is it called again? My God. K-Line. People just think that K-Line is just for someone who needs care and support. No. Pick up that phone, call them, tell them about it. They'll push you to the right department. You've actually contacted them. We don't update our systems. We don't complain. We don't talk. If your circumstances have changed, it's on Property Pool. Update your circumstances. No one is going to come out and give you a property if you're still having the same circumstance you have 5 years ago. That's why some of the reason why people don't get a property. Update your circumstances. If you're not working at that time when you actually applied on Property Pool, you're not working. Update your circumstances that you've got a job. You can afford to pay more rent. These are the things that we constantly tell people to do. Update your circumstances. If you want to complain,
I don't know who iPhone is.
Complain.
You need to advise this person waiting for 4 years with a child with complex care needs. You need to advise them to update their system and keep up. Even if you just have to delete something and then add it back, that puts it as an update. I used to tell people, go delete something and put it back.
Yeah.
An update.
If you've got issues, say you've got a child that's got complex care needs, go to your GP. Let your GP give you a letter. That letter, you can put it down as medical. You put it on the system. Medical now, if you're on general needs and you go on medical, you go up a little bit. And that's how you end up getting a property. If you don't update it,
we got our first social housing property by getting the doctor to give us several letters.
Yeah, get your doctor to give you medical certificates. Let them lift up your housing application.
Awesome. Oh, someone was asking the mold. I've just shown the mold remover. Like I said, I got this from this website. Must Have Ideas. That's what it's called. Must Have Ideas. And I think he followed me on Facebook. You know, it was a Facebook advert. And I was like, I'll check this out. And it was good. So definitely check it out. Someone's still about energy. Someone was sent a bill, £1,500, even after paying through direct debit every month. And they left that house 3 months ago. And they have been told they still have to pay that bill, obviously, because it's under their name, even if there's a new tenant in their house. What do? So they're saying they were paying by direct debit and they were given a $1,500 bill, you know, as debt. I'm assuming that's the debt, not what they're supposed to pay, hopefully.
I'll let Francis Energy answer that.
Well, in that case, I guess it depends on if they are the people who actually consume the bill. You don't pay for somebody else's bill. Were they in the house when the bill was, when they got the debt? If they weren't, then they need to pay it. But if they were not there, and then they can prove that. That's why getting a breakdown of your bill is very, very important, because it has the time and date when that bill happens. Yeah, so let them get, if it's necessary, the person asks the company to give a breakdown of how that bill happened, They'll just look the days if they're still living in the house. If they were living in the house, then probably they need to pay. But if they weren't.
But again, that's where the ombudsman comes in.
Yeah.
Because if you can prove that you were paying, you were never in debt while you were paying your bill, and then out of the blue you were told, bam, you have a debt.
Yeah.
There are lots of people who went into debt between last year and this year because of the spike in the energy prices. And even if the government gave every household £400, and I hope you all claimed yours, because I did, you still find that a lot of people have received bills higher than what they should be paying and told that now you're in debt to the energy company because of the spike in energy bills. And so this is something that you might have to keep in mind, that all of us are now having to pay more, and that many people have actually gone into energy debt because of the increase. And if you left the house 3 months ago, it might be that you're in debt. But if you have been paying and you have proof and they are giving you a bill that you don't understand, challenge it, go to the ombudsman. If nothing else, they'll give you a smaller bill, if nothing else. All right. Is there any help available for people in other cities outside Liverpool? How far outside Liverpool? Merseyside? Yes. Outside Merseyside? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If it's Manchester, I know exactly where I can send you, Oscar. Definitely. Outside Liverpool and Manchester, I'm not sure.
They'll just need to contact organizations in the town or city, wherever they are located. Because it's specific. Like our project, we can only work with people who live in Liverpool. We can work with Liverpool. So it's actually looking for the help that's available in the town or city where they are located. And that information is usually public anyway.
Right. Actually, Bradford. Oh my God. No, I'm not sure. I'll speak to somebody I know in Bradford. I'll see, but I need to know what specific help you are looking at, Oscar. And then, because I know someone in Bradford who runs a similar type organization. Someone said energy, another question. I was sent a bill a year and 4 months after I left a property. A year and 4 months after I left a property. And apparently the energy company called it the final bill. And this person was not owing when they left. And they gave the energy company a moving out notice as well. So what's that all about?
That's why, again, as I'm saying, get the company to give you the breakdown of the bill. 1, 2, report to the ombudsman. Those are the 2 things that you technically need to do. If, so long as that bill, the breakdown, how it happened, shows that you're not in that house, then it's not your bill. It's not your bill. Again, even as I've said, I keep saying, even when you think you are wrong, still report. Still report. Because that bill might be dropped down. I have 2 or 3 people who've complained and they actually owe that bill, and the company reduced the bill. They reduce it because they have funds to do that. But they don't tell everybody that they have this crisis fund. They don't tell, because if they tell everybody will be applying for it.
So there's a crisis fund, number 1.
All
crisis fund, guys. Have you heard that every energy company has a crisis fund?
Yes.
Number 2, ask for a breakdown of that bill, right down to when was it consumed?
Yeah.
The consumption per unit. And you might be surprised that it's not your bill. And you can then show them that I moved out of that property X months ago. So that's not my bill.
And then report.
And if they carry on, take them to the ombudsman. The ombudsman, I think, is more pro-consumers than any other organization that I know here in the UK.
I've put in the link for the ombudsman on the chat. So you can get it. Because, I mean, if you just Google Energy Ombudsman, you'll see their website. And their details are all there. So you just take them and contact them.
Right. So in order to use energy smartly, when is the best time to use a washing machine and tumble dryer? Why are you laughing? It's a serious question. Even me, I'm asking,
No, time frames is when fewer people are actually using it. So that would be in the night, generally.
So it's better to wash at night?
Yeah, no, wash your clothes. The clothes at night, yes, because there are fewer people using using the energy then. If you do it, especially 3, 4, 5 p.m., gosh, you are paying like 2 times what you should be paying. Don't do it at other times.
You serious?
Yes, I'm very serious.
Did you hear that, guys? Oh my God, I wash anytime, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I wash anytime.
I mean, when you wash them, when a lot of people are doing so, the bills are much higher. The rates, I mean, the unit cost.
And on the weekend, moreover.
Yeah. So do it in the night.
And during the week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had that, Omolola. Choose evening, nighttime, probably a weekday, because everyone's trying to do their washing on a Saturday between 2 and 5, 6 p.m. And so your bill's going to be higher because the energy companies are like, yeah, wash them things. And
these are the people who want.
What's this care line for, please? Silva, you shared a care line. Can you please, what's the number for? Please clarify. Okay.
You're discussing about calling care line number to a care line to inform about anything you want, that not only social care issue, whatever issue that one can call care line. And I have the number, that's where I share it.
Yeah. So the care line is for reporting social issue, health issues, economic issues, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is, I think, because people were asking in the chat.
I had a care line number and the reason.
Okay, Oscar. So help around getting good accommodation in Bradford. I'll ask this person. I'm not sure if they deal with housing, but I will ask them for you. Let me just put in Bradford. If you put your email in the chat, Oscar, we are going then to reach out to this person and give them your email so they can contact you. If there are no more questions, I think we are at that point where we really, really appreciate our facilitators, Mr. Francis Niba and Mr. Francis Langley. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up in large numbers to this, our rekindling our campfire. It had actually gone out and gone cold, so we're very, very grateful that you've come out in such large numbers. We have a very short form. It's very short, I promise you. It's literally, you just click option A, B, C, D, so it won't take you even a minute. It's in the chat. Oops, I think I've sent it to someone directly as opposed to sending it to the group. Okay, so there's a short form in the chat. It's a very short form and it has options A, B, C, D kind of thing. So it won't take you a minute to fill out. This kind of form allows us to reach out to other funders and supporters and stakeholders who are able to support our needs as Black people. And that brings me to this. I chose to say this at the end. For those of you who live in Merseyside and have attended this session, make sure your name is with our amazing, amazing project administrator, Rachel Barbara, because we might surprise you with a beautiful ethnic, cultural African food parcel in the next couple of months or so. But definitely, if you live in Merseyside, you will be surprised with a food parcel just for showing up. And it might not be this week, it might not be next week, but it will happen. That's a guarantee from me, and my word is my bond. And that is from Women and Digital Inclusion, which is hosting this event today. We are going to be holding a couple of events like this every month until March. And then we'll let you know what else we will be talking about based on your feedback to us, what you want us to talk about. What we are talking about today is what you told us in January and February. And so the next session is going to be about how, and I think I've shared this with you have I shared with the next topic with you? So be very excited because we are going to talk about how to build resilience in hard times. And this is going to be a deep conversation because it's going to be practical ways to actually build resilience in you as a person, in your family, in your workplace, in your community. Resilience covers a whole lot of things. It's a very heavily loaded word. I keep saying resilience is a loaded bullet because it can be anything. You could be resilient in not doing nothing. You could be resilient in coming out of the valley and getting into the top of the mountain. You could be resilient in supporting your community, but definitely we have an amazing facilitator coming up on the 28th of this month. It's a Tuesday at the exact same session, exact same time, 4:30. We'll be having a lady who is a leader. She is all about supporting Black women. She's all about empowering the Black child, girl child. She's all about supporting men, because right now there's a new organization that's forming in Greater Manchester that's supposed to support men the way we support women, and it's called Safe Square Sanctuary. And the visionary behind this organization, the organization she runs, is called Support and Action for Women's Network, is Mrs. Rose Sally. She's going to facilitate the next event on the 28th of November, a couple of Tuesdays away, in other words. So please do come in as large numbers as you've shown up. We are going to create a digital hub where all the ideas and all that has come out of this session will be put, so you can access it and be able to share and be able to get to solving the challenges that we've talked about today. For those of you whose questions we have not answered, apologies, but show up on the 28th and your question will be answered. And I'm sure Francis and Francis will show up again on that day. And maybe they can answer your question again. And if you are definitely based in Liverpool and you're struggling with your energy bills, Citizens Outreach Coalition are the organization that is going to help you. Reach out to me, reach out to Francis, and they will be able to help you. Absolutely give your email to Rachel Barbara, so we can then have a conversation with you on how best we can support you. And you could get a voucher to support your fuel bill in these very cold months. If there's anything else anyone wants to say, please do raise your hand. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure and privilege hosting this conference with you today. Please do show up in large numbers again on the 28th. And please, let's show a clap of hands for Francis and Francis. You can hit that emoji on your screen, or you can just clap in person. Either way, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. We've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. And there are several emails showing up in the chat right now, gentlemen. And we are so grateful. I'm sure it's time for dinner for everybody, so I won't hold you up any longer. If there are no further questions, thank you, Francis Langley, and thank you, Francis Niba, for gifting us your time and taking a moment to answer our questions, reassure us, and just help us feel like we are supported and that somebody cares. We appreciate you. And with that said,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Do check out our website, Women and Digital Inclusion, wordin.org.uk. If you're not on our community chat, please give us your number. We'll add you to our community chat, where all the updates are put, so that you know what's going on, so that you know, you can let us know if you've received one of our beautiful food parcels. They are delivered right to your door. So all those good things. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'm signing out, unless somebody has a question. God bless you all. Lots of hands clapping for you, gentlemen, in the chat.